that mystics ask questions instead of giving answers. Well, yeah, let's explore it. I won't give you an answer either. I'm not a mystic like the Buddha or someone, but yeah, I just I had a thing coming up on Facebook actually with where it said that in the Gospels Jesus asked 187 questions, and he answers in parentheses maybe 8 of them. It says, and he himself asks, over 300. So, and then it goes to say that maybe faith isn't about certainty, but learning to ask and sit in the complexity of good questions. So, asking 187 questions, he's being asked 187 questions, and he himself asks 307. So he both asks a lot of questions, and on top of that, he doesn't answer questions given to him. I just found that to be interesting because it's in line, I'd say, with a lot of other people throughout history and throughout the world. You can, of course, cherry pick things, but I think this is a trend for sure. I came to think about the Socratic method, or the Maieutic method is also called. It is from the ancient Greek philosopher, and he used it to also elicit insight into his students. It was more like a dialogue. It's not just like go go, as we say, or we say, as in the Zen tradition, which I'm a part of. We often get a question too. It's so often called a koan, which is in some ways unanswerable question, but you sit within it. And a koan is usually something like, or at least the breakthrough koans tend to be like, what is this? Or who am I? Or what am I? Or some question. And the teacher, they don't give you an answer either. They say, sit with this question, meditate on it. And it can be years. It can be, I think, I don't remember his name now, but I think he sat with a koan for at least 20 years, and until he got a sort of an spontaneous insight, or whatever you want to call it. So the Socratic method is more in a form of a dialogue, but it's still in the spirit of not answering questions. The key components on the Socratic method, according to something on the internet, is questioning. The Socratic method begins with a series of questions that challenge the student's assumptions and understanding of a topic. It's designed to encourage critical thinking and help a student to clarify their thoughts and ideas. So this is maybe a more practical way of doing it than, or at least taken down a notch from, sit with this koan for 20 years. This is more, but it's also used to gain sort of insight from the inside, like this. Can't really speak now. This intuitive insight that the Socratic method tries to elicit, that we supposedly have inside of us, all of us. We have the question inside of us, or we have the answer rather inside of us, but it isn't a logical or rational. I mean, it could be, but it's on the contrary to something being rational in a way that it's like a narrative mind is thinking it out. It more evolves and emerges as a emergent property, like an insight, like an intuition. I remember Einstein famously spoke, supposedly, allegedly. It's also always hard to know with these facts from the internet, but there are many quotes with him saying that the rational mind is like a helpful servant, the narrative self. that, we can think about things, but the intuitive mind is the other mind, intuitive mind, which he used to gain his deeper insights. That is the real master. That is the one we should turn to and get these insights from. And I see the Socratic method as both using sort of the rational mind as a tool, like Einstein said, but then using it to sort of dig deeper and get kind of an insight from more of our whole being. The way I see it, intuition is, I think intuition is a good way of thinking about this topic, is that we have parts within ourselves, or we have an intuition, rather, to make that explicit, which can help us make decisions or help us gain insight about things, that can take more information if we want to talk about or think about it in more practical, logical, rational terms, that maybe the the rational mind will accept, the narrative mind, the self-referential thoughts will accept, the ego will accept, and that is that we have the rational mind, or the narrative self, only knows so much. We can think about things, we can do some types of problem solving, but there's a reason why many people, or like scientists, for example, get their insights in the shower, or even in a dream, or taking a stroll, or whatever, taking psychedelics, I don't know, because they get access to more information than when they are in a state of the egoic state. Maybe we could say that the egoic narrative state, the thinking state, where we only have access to so much. But the whole body, and I mean, for example, if we take someone like Adam Ondra, the famous mountain climber, he says that for him to be able to free climb like he does without any ropes or anything, he has to be fully locked in, and he has to use his intuition. So he has almost like a voice inside of him, which is not his thinking mind, because he's not thinking anymore, but he has sort of a guiding intuition when he climbs, and he has to follow that, and he has to be totally in the now, totally in the zone, in the flow state. And when he is that, he gets this continuous stream of insight, this continuous stream of intuition, which helps him climb a mountain and not fall down. And if he gets out of that state, he runs the risk of falling down pretty quickly, because if he starts to think, should I put my hand over there? Should I put my foot over there? He will lose it sooner or later. He has to be in that state. He has to be in the flow state. He has to use his intuition, like a deeper sense, which goes beyond. But we can still see that it's sort of maybe it's like that for an animal all the time. They don't have a thinking mind. They're just doing things instinctively, or maybe we could even say intuitively, in how they move, whatever they do. And we have the thinking mind that is, like Einstein said, a helpful tool. We have the rational mind that's a helpful servant, but it's not the master, as I say. So we can use it to gain some sort of insight, and that's what that is what the Socratic method uses. It uses the rational mind, the thinking mind, to elicit the deeper knowledge from the intuitive mind, or at least that's one way of looking at it. Point 3 is dialogue. The Socratic method is a dialogue between the teacher and the student, rather than a lecture or presentation. This dialogue encourages active participation and engagement from the student. And then when critical thinking, the Socratic method encourages students to think critically about complex issues, to evaluate evidence, and to develop well-supported arguments. So we can see that it's both. It's obviously not just going by intuition like Adamondra does when is doing when he's climbing, but it is also to some degree, as far as I see it anyway, eliciting intuition too. So we ask questions and we think about it to a certain extent, but it's also an intuition. I remember Magnus Carlsen, the famous chess player, the world's greatest plus a chess player all time, as it seems. He also says that, just like Adamondra, but this is speaking about chess. So this is very different. It seems to be only using the rational mind, calculating, looking at lines, remembering, remembering lines, remembering computer lines, remembering preparation, all those things that are, it's memory, and it is rational thinking, it's analytical thinking, it's analyzing and calculating. So that is, of course, from the analytical mind, the thinking mind. But what it says is that in the end, it all becomes very, very intuitive. He doesn't really know why he is in the end choosing going one way as opposed to another way. He just knows. He knows, and it is not. He doesn't know why he why he knows. He just follows his intuition. If he loses track of his intuition again, he loses track of his sort of flow. He plays worse. This is his own words. I find that to be really interesting because chess is obviously it's a well-structured problem. There's only so many moves you can do. It's of course too many to calculate for a human mind, but you would think that it's only analytical, that it's only calculating or doing those kinds of things, but it isn't. It is, and especially of course if you're doing like speed chess or bullet chess or something like that, when you have to be really quick, you have to go with intuition. You can't even calculate things. You just go by heart, so to speak. And that's intuition. That is, they are using their intuition. They're using. I don't know how did I get on this. The question was, did ancient mystics, why did you ask about questions? Why is the road to truth through questions and finding, maybe we could say, intuition, finding truth that is at a sort of naturalistic way of looking at it, like a deeper layer. You don't have to be think about spirituality to see that, it's not maybe that God is helping Magnus Carlsen or Adam Ondra to climb and play chess. It's something you could definitely think about it in terms of purely organismic tendencies or workings. The organism. That's what I meant with having access to more information. So we only have access to so much with our analytical mind. But when we get into the flow state, as I would say that also Magnus Carlsen and other players do, they actually go into, I think, a theta state. When we look at it from the brain perspective, we can have different types of waves in our minds, or in our brains rather, depending on if we're sleeping, if we're awake. And if we're awake, we can meditate and get into deeper states. And one of those is, the alpha state, where we have more alpha waves, and theta waves is actually more connected to dreams, actually, which is pretty interesting. If I remember correctly, that some chess players go into a theta state. And that obviously has a lot to do then with the way they're playing, how they're accessing information, how they are managing their information accessing abilities, or finding their intuition, maybe we should say. They do that from meditating, almost going into meditative state, and they do calculations, of course, and analyzing and remembering and everything, but they do also use a heavy dose of intuition, which is, what is it really? What is the intuition? Because they're not aware of it. They can't explain it. The thinking mind cannot understand it. The thinking mind doesn't understand why moving the bishop this way instead of that way is the right thing to do. Adamondra, when he's climbing, isn't aware of it, or his thinking mind can't explain why he should go a certain route or put his hand in a certain place. It's all of it is happening through intuition. And I just found it to be interesting, and that is why the answers, that Jesus didn't want to give people when they asked him about asked him about it. And if we take the Buddha, he also famously said, find out for yourself. You don't trust me, don't listen. Maybe listen to him to some degree, but don't trust me. Look for yourself. See if what I'm saying is true. If we take the route of Ramana Maharshi and some of those, like Nisargadatta Maharaj, the Indian mystics, Ramana Maharshi, his only method, or not only method, but one method was just to sit in silence, to just be silent. So no thinking, no thoughts, no, not even a question, and definitely no answer either. Just this moment right now, just being in silence. That is sort of the deepest teaching in many ways, but on strong second place is self-inquiry, which is asking questions, not again the giving answers, but asking questions. And the question is, who am I? Just as the famous Zen koan, Zen breakthrough koan. You ask the question, who am I? So when someone is asking Ramana Maharshi, is there life after death, for example, or can I become enlightened even though I'm working full time or something like that? And his answer would very often be in the line or in the light of not giving an answer, like saying, yeah, sure, you can become enlightened even though you're working full time. Go for it. It's no problem, because even if you're working very much, you can still practice meditation. Maybe he do say some things like that, but what or like with the reincarnation, there's reincarnation. So when you die, you're going to be reborn, and you're going to be a different guy or gal or animal or whatever. Maybe an ant if you've been naughty. What he's saying is, rather than giving an answer again, he's just reiterating the question he asks almost everyone there. Who is asking the question? Go and seek that out. Who is asking the question about becoming enlightened even though you're working full time? Who is asking a question about reincarnation or birth? Is there life after death? Find out who it is that is asking the question, and the question will be resolved. You will get your own answer, sort of like the Socratic method to ask. He instead gives them a question. The question, as I said, who am I? Or what am I? Whatever you want to say. What is this? What is this mind? Whatever you want to use, doesn't really matter. They all go to the same, we get the sort of same answer. It's the same intuition or prajna, as they say, and it's like a different type of wisdom that emerges, which isn't, again, just like intuition with Adam Ondran and Magnus Carlsen, the chess player and the mountain climber, just as they don't understand why the answer, they don't understand why where it's coming from or what it really means. They're just doing it in the same way. We can get an answer, an intuitive answer. We can get this prajna, this wisdom that they speak of that is different from intellectual, understanding. Maybe it's a deeper form of wisdom that the traditions speak of, that we can access when we ask the right questions, when we ask these deep fundamental questions. Deeper maybe than, maybe the Socratic method sometimes they can ask existential questions too, but it's designed to work with all kinds of questions as far as I know anyway. I'm trying to find, so the Heart Sutra, it is, it's called Prajna Paramita Hridaya, so the Heart Sutra, it's often translated to, but you see again the word prajna is coming up there. We can ask, does it mean? Prajna, meaning, to get the exact explanation. It's a Sanskrit word and has multiple meanings and connotations across, Anyway, so it means wisdom or insight, just as we've been saying. But it's closer to intuitive apprehension or non-discriminating knowledge. It is understanding of the true nature of reality beyond dualistic thinking and conceptual frameworks. Also, it's meaning insight, comprehension of the characteristics of things or phenomena with skillful means. In Hindu, it's sometimes mean intelligence, wisdom, Anyway, so it's intuitive knowledge, intuitive wisdom. It's sort of an insight which is different from intellectual understanding, which is, the typical analytical mind. Nothing wrong with it. Like Einstein said, it's an, how do you call it? What did you say? A good servant, a good tool to use for sure. It's great. It's just not the end all be all, because it doesn't have the answers to, many or most of the important questions that we have, like who am I? What is this? Those are not, it's not able to answer those questions. So just to go back to the Heart Sutra, which is like the sort of the greatest sutra within the Buddhist tradition, it says that, I'm just going to jump in and say that it says this, that all phenomena bear the mark of emptiness. Their true nature is the nature of no birth, no death, no being, no non-being, no defilement, no purity, no increasing, no decreasing. So again, that the insight of the prajna is like the AI answer, whoever it is. But I think it's true. It spoke about non-dualistic, beyond dualistic thinking and conceptual framework. That is prajna, that is wisdom. That is what we are looking for when we are asking the question, who am I? What is this? And this Heart Sutra is coming out of that wisdom. It is prajna written down. And that's why it doesn't really make sense to the rational mind, to the thinking mind. It only makes sense to the intuitive mind, the prajna mind, the heart mind. And it says again, no birth, no death. So the person asking for the question, the person asking the question, gets a sort of answer here, which makes no sense, of course. So it says that there's no birth or death. There's no being, no non-being. There's no coming, no going, no coming, no going. So there's no duality in a way. So the rational mind, the intellectual mind, the thinking mind is dualistic by its very nature. Of course, it's every word we have only has meaning in terms of its it gains its meaning. Um, it doesn't have any meaning unless it has an opposite, right? So hard cannot be, doesn't mean anything unless you also have soft and up or down or coming and going, birth and death, being and no being. And this is prajna. This is going beyond thinking. This is going beyond the dualistic mind. So the sutra is going beyond the dualistic mind and sort of actually giving an answer, but it isn't speaking to the rational mind. It is speaking to the intuitive prajna mind, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, I love the ending of it, where it says that, well, it's Sanskrit, but I will translate it. So it says Gatta Gatta Paragatta Paransagatta Bodhi Svaha. And Gatta means beyond, going, and it's going beyond to the other shore. Gatta Gatta Gatta, going beyond. Paragatta, Parasamgatta, it's like even more beyond. And then Bodhi means awakening, and this is the awakening, the insight that you get from going beyond the rational mind, going beyond the thinking mind, going beyond or getting the intuitive answer to the question, who am I? In that there is awakening, in there is Bodhi, in there is enlightenment, what the traditions speak about, moksha, theosis, nirvana, fana, whatever tradition you want to speak about. It doesn't mean exactly the same thing in all the traditions, but it's very similar. And they end with svaha, which means, as far as I know, like great. How wonderful. So we go beyond the thinking mind, beyond dualistic thinking, beyond the intellectual mind, beyond the thinking mind, beyond the narrative self, beyond the self-referential thoughts that we have, beyond the ego, beyond our identification with the self, beyond even the world, even mind itself, beyond everything that we know or can know. And there is awakening, and there is enlightenment, and there is great. This is great. Thank you. So that was my talk on why the ancient mystics asked questions instead of giving answers. It's because of this. There is no real answer to give. You can do it like, Jesus also spoke in parables, which are similar, I think, to, I would say, to koans in the Zen tradition. They also speak to the prajna mind or intuitive mind or enlightenment mind, whatever we want to call it. That's why they doesn't really make any sense from an intellectual or thinking mind, but they can, almost like poetry can, or like music. It's hard to explain why it affects us or why we get these experiences from it. It's sort of beyond or different from what we can understand. So poetry sort of also gets us in the area of spirituality, awakening, and what the Heart Sutra is trying to convey here with words, something that is beyond, of course, words, because even these words in the Heart Sutra are just words. They are still dualistic, but they are saying something very important when they speak about it's the non-dual perspective, sort of. Not this, not this, not this. It's neither birth nor death. It's neither coming nor going. It's neither awakening nor non-awakening even. It's just something else. Find out for yourself, like the Buddha said. Answer the question, who am I? Not through your intellectual mind, like thinking it out, but going deeper and deeper and deeper. It may take 20 years. It may take 20 lifetimes, according to some some traditions, but it's they also claim that it's well worth it. You don't have to believe anything, of course, but it is what they're saying, and people who experience it tend to agree. Okay, that's it. Thanks.